everybody, this is Michelle here from Made for Mermaids, and I'm going to be showing you how to do a burrito roll on our women's Juniper jumper. So I have already gone through the steps of sewing my shoulder seams and then sewing my neck hole. Now you want to make sure I'm using the same lining as I am fabric. So you want to make sure I marked these with a dry erase marker or a disappearing ink, so I know which sides are my lining and which sides are my main bodice. So now that I've sewn my neck hole, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it right side out. So you're just going to flip through the hole you created, turning it right side out. So then you're going to have what looks like this, your bodice. Now, here's the burrito roll part. So what I usually do is first I'm going to open up this shoulder seam. So I'm simply going to open it up by pulling the lining and the bodice away from each other. And so I usually take this part and flip it under too a little bit. So now this is open, so you have your bodice and your lining, and then here's your other shoulder. So what you're going to do now is simply take this shoulder and roll it, and this is where we get the burrito roll. So you're going to roll the whole thing, and you're going to place it in the middle of that opened seam that you just created. Okay, so now that that's there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces and your two shoulder seams, and I'm going to wrap it around that fabric that I just rolled up there, and I'm going to clip and pin, and then I'm flipping this bodice over, and I'm going to clip and pin all through there, and flip that over and clip and pin all through here. So you're going to have what looks like your arm side right here, and your other side of your bodice is tucked inside of that. When you're sewing, you want to make sure it's rolled up nice and tight and tucked in there so you're not catching it when you're sewing this through here. So I'm going to go sew that, and I will bring it back. Okay, so now you can see my arm side is sewn. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pull the other side of your bodice out through. So I grab one side and I open it up, and you're going to find that burrito bodice that you tucked in there. And so you just simply start pulling. Now you want to go nice and slow and be careful, because sometimes it can get a little fat and a little tight through that arm. You don't want to stretch it too much, so nice and slow, pulling my bodice out. Like I said, it gets a little tight in there sometimes. So don't be afraid to go slow and work it through. Pulling. Okay, so now we're free. So I'm going to lay this out and show you what it looks like right now. So now you can see we have one arm side enclosed with no raw edges, but we still have this side that's open. So what we're going to do now is you're going to do the same thing, just opposite. You're going to flip this open, creating that, lining and bodice opening. And you're going to take this side this time, and you're going to roll it up nice and tight and place it in there. finished arm side now and shoulder inside my unfinished. So then I'm just, same thing as last time, flip that over, enclosing that finished arm side, flip the bodice over, enclosing the other side of the bodice. Same thing on this side. And then you're gonna sew this arm side again. Clip it nice and tight, so making sure you don't catch that finished one in through your burrito roll, because otherwise you won't be able to pull it out. So I'm gonna go finish this. Okay, now I'm back with my other finished arm side, and the same thing. You're gonna reach in and start slowly pulling out your bodice. Gently working it through there. If you pull too hard, you could rip your stitches, so that's why it's important to go nice and slow. And you don't want to stretch it out either, like I mentioned. Okay, now we're free. So now you have your finished bodice. Both arm sides are finished and your neckline is finished. So then what you're going to do from here is you are going to, this isn't part of the burrito roll, but I'll show you anyways. What I like to do is I like to flip up my lining away from my bodice like this. And then you do the same thing with this side, flipping it down like this. Now I'm going to take my side seams right here, or rather my armpit seams, and I'm going to lift it up over on top of this. So it's right sides together, lying here, and I line up my seams, and you'll go ahead and pin and clip, and you can see here I've got my mark here for my lining. So I've got lining and bodice together, which is what's supposed to happen. So then I'll sew these two ends and I will have a finished bodice. Okay, now you can see I've sewn both of these side seams. So what you do is you simply turn it right side out. And there you go. Finished bodice. Now a little tip that I like to do before I sew on my skirts is I will make sure everything is lined up and pulled tight, and then I will baste all the way along the bottom of my bodice, and that way it holds together when I'm sewing my skirts on, rather than especially if you're using a slippery fabric, it can shift and you can end up with wrinkles in your bodice, which you definitely don't want. So I recommend basting all the way and attaching your skirt. Hopefully this helps some people, and I can't wait to see all of your sews. Thank you so much.